co-chairs, and Craig Later, my other co-chair, is here. And John, why don't you read everyone the instructions and before we get going?
Yes. Welcome. If this is your first time joining us, you notice that you are muted and may mute throughout the meeting except for the co-chairs, Craig and Chuck, as we move through the agenda. Following the presentations, as we move through the agenda, the co-chairs will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can participate by going to the raise hand feature below or pressing the raise hand feature below. Do not press the wave or thumbs up button as those appear, only press it once. If you press the raise hand feature a second time, your hand will go back down. If you are also calling on your phone, press *9 to unmute yourself and *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking the co-chairs, asking yourself to unmute yourself. The chat is available text support only. Do not ask questions of the co-chairs as they will not see the chat. If you're using an older version of Zoom, please go to React menu, Persons menu, or a button that says More, where you can raise your hand there. If you're planning to speak during the meeting, please make sure to rename yourself to your first and last name so we may know who is talking, so we can have it for our record. Please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen as we have people to see you, and chat for me via ticket support.
Okay, and we're also pleased to have our district manager, Ian McKnight, here. Ian, welcome. This is your first meeting.
Yes.
We'll see if you can get through this. Maybe you'll come back again.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Okay, our first item is the public hearing on a DOT revocable consent application to install a stoop and fenced-in area, including steps and trash enclosures at 350 East 69th Street between 2nd and 1st Avenue. Is there anyone here to present that? If they are, raise your hand and we can unmute you so you can make a presentation.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is John DiPaolo from the Up Studio. I'll be presenting the application here this evening.
Okay.
Also with me is CJ Canales from the Up Studio and Kevin Kowicki as well. I'll go ahead and share my screen. I'll do a brief kind of rundown of the application and then open it up for questions. Okay, so like you stated, this is a proposal for a stoop and a fenced area. The subject property is highlighted on the plot plan here. The photos below, site photo A, as you see here, is from the left side of the building, kind of looking down the street, kind of up 96th Street. And then the photo B is looking straight on. And then photo C is just from the opposite side, looking down the block. Next sheet we have here is existing basement plan, existing cellar plan. There's also an existing tree pit at the front of the property that's to remain. Next sheet here shows our proposed. Everything kind of shown in red is our proposal. One thing I wanted to point out here, I could pick up another picture, is that the building was originally constructed with a stoop and fenced in area, as you see in this photo that I just pulled up. So this is our subject property. And then, the lots down the block to the left all, still have their stoops. We're essentially, if you could see here, we're basically mimicking all of the design elements with the building to the left, lot 35, I believe. And then if we continue, this picture on the left side here is showing the property to the left. And then we have an existing front elevation in the middle of the screen. And then our proposed...
Before you go on, I'm a little
Sure.
confused. The first slide showed East 96th Street, and then you're now showing East 69th Street. Can you confirm the address of this application?
I actually saw that too. So this is 69th. I'm not too sure why this is saying 96th here.
Okay.
So we are 350 East 69th Street.
All right, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Yeah, it's corrected here on this existing basement plan. You can see 69th Street there. So if we continue, this here was the existing front elevation and then the proposed on the right. All of our proposed again shown in red. And then a close-up elevation showing the fence elevation, dimensions and material callouts. And then we get into, further construction details of the plan. And then just to reiterate again, this was, just an older photo back. I think we think that this was removed back in the 1940s. And it's been, been removed since, and we're just looking to kind of replicate that and bring that back. And again, just some further construction details, but essentially that's the application, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Well, first, let's see if there's anyone from the public that wants to be heard on this application. Do we see any hands up here?
Sometimes that
Dylan's raised his hand.
Hi, good evening. I was just wondering, could you bring up that bird's eye view again of like where the tree pit is in relation to maybe scroll down slightly?
Okay. Because you could see it here also, or we could just look at it in closer in plan.
Closer in plan. Okay.
Yep.
So what is the distance between basically the end of somebody's
Yeah, I can get that for you.
the end of the
Yeah.
proposed stoop to that tree box, because that is the most narrowest point which you are going to ask
Correct.
students to walk through. What is that narrowest point? What's the measurement of that?
Correct. So you can see my cursor on the right here. I could zoom in a little bit more for you. So this would be the edge of the step, and then this is the edge of the tree pit, and we have 5'3" and a quarter.
Okay.
That dimension is consistent, and just you could see here in this photo. So that happens along the way at each one of these stoops as well. So it's a dimension that, is basically being maintained, as you can see in this image.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the public? See anybody? Okay. From the board, Michelle? Unmute Michelle.
Thank you. Were these buildings on that block, and was this building, I know you showed us a 1940s photo, but were they originally built with the stoops, and what year was the building built? Do you know?
They were built with the stoops. I don't have the year that they were built. I don't know if CJ, if you have that information, it's something that we can get
But
for
what's
you.
your best guess?
I don't know, to be
Okay,
quite
all
honest.
right, that's fine. But
Yeah.
they were all built with the stoops, and at some
Correct.
point, 350 removed their stoop.
Correct. Mhm.
Is this a one-family home
This is a
now?
one-family home. This is part of a larger project. So we're doing a vertical enlargement on the property. We're adding a floor and a penthouse level.
Has that been presented to landmarks yet?
Not part of landmarks.
Yeah,
To our
it's not-
committee, I mean. To the landmarks committee.
It's not part of landmarks.
Oh, it's not in the district. It's 69. Okay, okay.
Correct.
All right. So you're putting the steps back. And so what was considered the original property line? In other words, when the steps were removed, did the city consider the property line to stop at the building, or did they still call the property line where the stoop had ended?
So what happened, when it was removed, I don't have, I can't answer that. But I can say that in this image that you see here, the property line, is shown basically at the edge, the right edge of the steps. And we're, doing this return similar to the original stair, but not doing it on the contiguous property to the right.
I'm not sure I understand that. You're doing the return.
On the left
and
side.
Right. And then, oh, you mean that's going to be asymmetrical. You're doing it on one
Correct.
side, not the other. And
Correct.
the reason for that would be what?
Just not to disturb the church's property to the right.
Do you have a picture of that in the streetscape?
Yeah. Let me see what we have it on the first picture here. You could see the church in this picture. It's this
And
building
to the right.
here. And then you could see it like right here.
Oh, what looks like
Yeah, you
yellow
could
cement, but
actually,
it isn't.
yeah, exactly. You could
Okay.
actually see it very well in this photo. So this
Oh,
here
I
is
see it.
this
Okay.
here is the church. Yeah.
Okay. And the church, does the church have steps at the entrance?
At their
Because the
entrance,
car is
I
blocking
believe
it.
they do. Yeah, it's a bit of an elevated, not as high as ours, but I do believe that there are a few steps in front of
But
their
how far
entrance.
out does it protrude? Is it up to what you're proposing,
I
or
would doubt that because the elevation of that door is much less. So there's going to be less steps, which would mean that they would encroach,
they didn't
less.
have to go that far?
Correct.
It's a hard decision when something is being returned to how it was. So that's difficult. However, a 5'3" pass is not very much, even though I recognize you're saying, well, the tree bed in front of the church has a much larger clearance. I don't know how that follows every single place. The brownstone on the other side of you doesn't have a tree pit right in front of it, so that's not so bad. Going down the block, I'm sure it varies. What materials are you building this out of? Is the building currently a brownstone, or has it been altered? Oh, that's
Just
a good picture.
Yeah, I just figured I'd bring this up. I was
Yeah.
looking at this before the meeting, so it gives you an idea. There is
Yeah,
no tree
that's
pit in
good.
front of the church. And as we, kind of touched on, the steps don't encroach as, as even half as far as the buildings to the left.
So on this picture, though, your building is right
Right here.
there. Yeah, okay.
Correct. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. So is the building, it's showing like a green color? Oh, no, yours is showing brownstone. No, yours is showing
This
like a green.
is, yeah,
Is that true? Is it green?
No, we're changing that. CJ,
But
what is
that's what it is now?
this is what it is.
That's
Yeah,
what it
this is
is now.
current. Yeah, this is current.
And what are you doing to the building? How are you changing it? And what do you propose the steps are being made of?
It would be still, this is CJ Canales from the Up Studio. It would still be brownstone, and just the color to match the proposed facade.
Yeah. So we
Well,
have a
what's
list
the
of
proposed facade?
The proposed facade would be finished in a tuxedo color, which is a darker, a darker color of a gray.
A darker color of what?
Of a gray tone.
Okay, so you're not returning the building to a brownstone. And the
Well,
steps,
it would be the material of a brownstone with
but
pigment.
not the color of a brownstone.
Correct.
And therefore the steps would not be the color of a brownstone.
Correct.
So you're restoring the elements, the original elements, which is good, but yet you're not restoring the color. Okay, that's important information. So, and do you have more detail of your proposed handrail and fencing?
That's all in each, as we get further down the set, you could see, you know, there's larger details of the of the handrail.
Is this what we're looking, this rendering
This here is the
includes the
construction.
detail, all the detail?
Yeah, so this is our construction set for the, you know, for the stoop and fencing.
This is your mock-up?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, any changes to the door or, and is the fence going to be right up until the end of the steps? So
Yeah, so here's,
what is the total protrusion of the step?
it doesn't
10?
go past the steps, but you could see how it kind of locks
Okay.
into the corner here.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sebastian has a hand next up.
Bastian, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you to the presenters for all these details.
You're
Could you
welcome.
please describe what will be happening in the enclosed space behind the gate? This is an area that is currently public space, which is beyond the property line. There'll be a fence going up. What's happening inside there?
So just so I understand the question, you're asking underneath?
So not underneath, but the area behind the fence. So
Oh, just in this area here.
yeah,
Underneath the steps, as you can see here, this basically shows us what would happen underneath those steps. So this is the step up from the plan to the right. So we have a couple of doors here, and then a trash enclosure underneath, all hidden, but that's essentially the purpose, you know, the purpose of it. And then here is just an open area beyond the gate.
and in that open area beyond the gate, what will be in that area?
There is no program for that area. It's just an open.
Okay. Could
Space.
you explain why you are trying to fence off an area that you have no plan to use?
It was to be consistent with the adjacent properties. As you can see in the images, they're all enclosed. So we wanted to keep the same language consistent.
Yeah. So this
Um,
one, these are the two to the left, as you can see. So those are, this is essentially what we're using as a guide.
Okay. If I may share an opinion here,
Sure.
I think that with a sidewalk space like this, when it's getting fenced off and essentially taken from the public realm to the private realm, it's really important that there be a clear reason why we, representing the public voice, should be ceding that space. I think in the case of some of these neighboring properties, some of them have done really nice things for the streetscape with planting, bringing that green element into the neighborhood. To the contrary, we see some of these spaces where they're just empty. They're barren. They might have a trash can in them, and that is a negative aspect from my perspective for the neighborhood. I would love it if we could at least have an in-principle plan to have some greenery in the space, to be making sure that this public space is used for good. I appreciate that that is beyond the exact requirements of the revocable consent, but for the good of the neighborhood and indeed for the residents themselves, having some greenery might be a nice point.
Of course, yeah, I totally understand the thinking. As you can see here, like there's some planter boxes in the space already, so I don't think the owners would have a you know, any objection to that.
Yeah.
So that's totally fair.
Right. And that's
Thank
the
you.
main reason why we wanted to enclose the trash cans behind somewhere so it's not visible to the street.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I see Michelle has her hand up again. Is any?
Lori Boris.
Lori Boris. How about Lori? First.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
I'm afraid I am going to, first of all, let me apologize for my dog. Be quiet.
Has your
Understood.
dog has spoken?
Yes, my dog has spoken, and she basically is predicting how I'm going to vote. No, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to vote no on this because for two reasons. Number one is the distance between the bottom of the steps and the tree pit. It only leaves like 5 feet. I think you said 5 feet and something, which is just not enough room. And the other thing is, while I do appreciate wanting to restore things to the way they were, it's not appropriate, I believe, to restore things to the way they were if it was an impediment to accessibility. And so, since like building a staircase at this point is like just, I feel like it's not appropriate because a staircase is not something that someone with a disability can navigate. And so that's why I'm going to vote no. Okay.
Just point out to the committee that we're doing a revocable consent here. And these are the kinds of things that really don't go into that. And the more we veer off that, I think the less the Department of Transportation is going to consider our views.
Well,
so let's keep that in mind.
Can you explain to me, Chuck, how that relates to what I just said? Does that mean because they can change it back?
You're objecting? No, you're to a step, which is not really what we look at for a revocable consent. And you know, I understand your reason for objecting, but it's really not something that you know, DOT looks at when they're looking at revocable consents. So I just understand that.
Understood. Then I'll just forget everything I said about the step and just go back to what I said about the 5 feet.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any others, Michelle?
I'd like to make a resolution to disapprove and speak to it. I don't know that you're necessarily going to consider this part of a rationale for a denial, but it's part of a whole.
Oh, is there a second? By the way, is there a second for that?
Well, I was going to speak to it before they said.
Well, if there is a second, well, you can only speak to it if there's a second.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Lori seconded it anyway.
Okay.
Also, you know, a lot has to do when they brought in the fact that they are restoring. But to restore the steps and do a full restoration and then make it green when it was originally a brownstone sort of defeats the purpose of the restoration. So that's just an aside. But I object to that, but also the clearances. And I just don't think that would work on this block, on this house.
Yes, totally. I appreciate your thoughts there. And again, maybe your point is well taken. Maybe it's not, you know, restoration isn't the, you know, exact term. I think it was just more to point out that, you know, for, you know, however many years it was, I know it's been gone since the 40s, but essentially it was there, you know, in exact scale and form of the images and of the stairs that we're looking at in the image. That was really the only, you know, reason to show that, not to say that we're replicating it to the exact color that it was as well.
I understand that. Also, a church is they will host people at various days of the week and function. So to narrow the street to that extent next to the church makes it equally problematic, additionally problematic, I should say.
Okay. All right. Any further comments here? There's a member of the public, I guess, that's raised their hand. It's Lahel Deek. Can we unmute? Lahel Deek. Go ahead. Well, you should get a prompt. You should get a prompt, and then you have to click. There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. My name is Frank Dieck. I am the licensed lay minister of the First Hungarian Reformed Church, just right of the the building that we are discussing. I understand the concern about the stairs encroaching on the access to the church of our people getting in there, and that's not the case, really. I have to disagree with that. We had discussions with the planners, the contractors, and the architect group. We discussed the options, and they were very flexible about not encroaching on our over our property line. And I need to point out the fact that the entire block has the same width of the sidewalk where there are the planters in front of the steps. It would not change the overall access to pedestrians, really. It's the same access throughout the block.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dean. Any further comments, or are we ready to vote here? Okay. This is a motion to disapprove the application. Those who are in favor don't have to do anything. Those who are against it should raise their hands and on this.
And let me just read the
read
roll at this point.
the roll. Yeah.
All right. If anyone doesn't hear their names who is a member, just let me know. It's myself, Chuck, Bill, John McClement, Lori, Michelle, Paul, Sebastian, TJ.
Okay, so here's let me call on Paul first. Paul?
No.
And then Bill Angelos?
No.
Sebastian?
I vote no.
Craig?
I'm a no.
And I'm a no also.
So that is a vote of 5 no's to 4 yes. So that motion fails.
Okay. Can we have Paul? Well, Paul, recognize Paul here? Paul Crickler?
I'd like to propose a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. There, Bill seconds. Okay, let's vote on that. If you're in favor of that, you don't have to do anything. But if you oppose or abstain, you should raise your hand. Michelle?
No.
Lori?
No.
Okay. Is that it? Anyone else? Okay. So-
Hearing no others, that's passes 7-2.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Thanks. This will come up at our full board meeting 2 weeks from today. Okay.
Okay.
The next, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm. The next is a request to change the parking regulations on the south side of East 62nd Street between the Queensboro Bridge exit and First Avenue from no standing 7 a.m. to midnight, except Sunday, to no standing anytime. Now, where did this come from? It came from the co-chair. Would you care to explain? I mean, it doesn't need that much explanation, I think, but.
But I am going to share my screen, and I am going to do a little bit of a presentation to give everyone a lay of the land.
Okay.
All right, just give me 1 second to pull this up. All right. So this has been brought up previously, and let me just provide a little history. Way back when, somewhere around 2017, I think, we actually had a similar request that was made on the north side of the street near the Karen Horney Clinic, where we had parking on that north side. This is before the bike lane went in, and we had a request and ultimately got through a change in the parking regulation to allow for the 2 lanes of traffic to have lanes consistent on East 62nd Street. Um, they have subsequently, DOT built a bike lane first unprotected, and now protected. And there were some parking regulations that I believe were missed that needed to be changed, and that is what this has to do with. So here's current condition coming off the upper level of the bridge, and you could see that the signage is very clear that there are 2 lanes that could be used for right turns, the farmost right lane and the middle lane. And this is the view on East 62nd Street looking east towards First Avenue. This is a street view taken in 2024 while the bike lane was not protected. And you could see that effectively it fit three lanes of vehicles. Where the left lane was a dedicated left turn lane onto First, and the middle lane was a dedicated straight lane, and the right lane was, I believe, straight also, and then it was parking overnights and on Sundays. After the conversion, you can see here the current condition. This street view was taken in June of 2025, and the protected bike lane has been built out. There is now a buffer between the bike lane and the moving lanes. And you can see here, there are effectively 2 moving lanes. Now, this picture must have been taken on a day other than Sunday because this left lane looks like it is moving a moving lane, and you can see that the bike lane and shoulder are clear. Now but as I mentioned, it continues to be a no standing that is in effect from 7 a.m. to midnight, except on Sundays. And you can see that this is what I mean, where I think there was something that was missed. This is the current condition where this now it's, I guess, considered the left lane of moving traffic is a left turn only lane. It's a dedicated lane, and the light actually at First Avenue is a delayed left turn. It provides the green arrow for cars going straight first, while it remains red for left turning cars. And then it is a delayed yellow flashing signal for the left turns. Under this car is actually a straight only lane. And you can see that this is essentially the south side lane. This is the same lane that continues to be marked as no standing 7 a.m. to midnight, except Sundays. And the result is, and these are pictures, and you'll see a video in a moment that I took from this past Sunday. And just the reason I wanted to make sure I brought this up was the prior Sunday. So the Sunday before Thanksgiving, I was coming back on a Sunday and had some really scary instances as I was coming off the bridge and driving. And I'll explain that in a minute because it sort of jobs with what I'm depicting from what I took on Sunday on foot in this area. So this is looking east on 62nd Street. And you could see here, this is about 2:20 in the afternoon, that cars are parked in the entire curbside lane on the south side of 62nd Street. And you can see there are cars in the moving lane, and you can't really see what's going on up front, but you'll see it more closely in a moment. Coming off the bridge, it is a real mess and it is a really dangerous situation. So these 2 lanes that I described that are making the left turn with the cars parked in the curb lane essentially have to merge into that 1 lane that is in effect on Sundays. And the result is that cars don't know what they're doing, and there are often potentially dangerous situations for cars that are trying to merge, especially since many people coming off the bridge aren't really familiar with that location and don't really know how that road operates. And they end up, as you can see in the right, entering into the bike lane buffer and sometimes into the bike lane itself, which obviously is not supposed to happen and is illegal. And what happens is that buffer lane effectively turns into that left turn lane. You can see here, there's a car in the sidewalk extension, the painted sidewalk extension, and throughout the buffer, you could see it looking in the other direction as well. And at the same time, it's contributing to congestion coming off of the bridge. You can't really see it here, and you'll see it in a moment, that the far left lane, the one that goes straight through the intersection towards 63rd Street, actually moves pretty well, while the congestion backs up, making a right turn onto 62nd Street due to the fact that these cars have to do that merge. And the result is that it often will result in an incursion into the bike lane itself. These are two different cars within the same light cycle that ended up driving into the bike lane. And the one on the right, you can see actually went into the curbside because there is an illegally parked car in that buffer over there. And that is obviously a danger to cyclists as well. So you can see here, this is really an unsafe condition for everyone on Sundays. And I'm assuming that this could also happen during the overnight periods or early in the morning before 7 a.m. on weekdays as well. So here's the video, and this is basically the end of my presentation, but this is one light cycle coming off the bridge, and where you can see sort of everything that I described happening. Now you see the cars are parked on the curbside. You could see that 62nd Street itself is relatively clear as the light is about to turn, and you could now watch and see what happens. So the light turns green and the cars start to move, and they're flowing okay, except that now we see the cars that are entering into that shoulder lane, the bike lane buffer. This one's actually getting into the bike lane a little. And the traffic builds, and these cars don't know what to do. Here comes a pedestrian that further is exacerbating that congestion over here. But the congestion continues to build. You can see cars that don't really have a sense of what lane they're supposed to go into. That car now turns into the bike lane to bypass some of the traffic over there in the front. Watch this white car over here. As we get closer to the red light cycle, you can see the congestion building on the bridge itself while the lane to 63rd Street is okay. This white car, after honking, also now decides it's going to try to bypass everything, goes into the bike lane and shoulder, and speeds ahead. Overall, a really bad situation here. So the key takeaways here are that the two lanes merging off the bridge is dangerous for vehicles when they're trying to merge into one lane when that no standing is not in effect. The incursions into the bike lane and the protective shoulder and buffer are unsafe for cyclists and possibly even pedestrians as well. That through lane at First Avenue with the delayed left is a situation that further contributes to the congestion, because if the car at the very front is trying to make the left turn and has the red light, the cars that are looking to go straight on Sundays can't get around it unless they go on the left. And that's exactly what happened to me a week and a half ago as I was waiting to make that left turn. I didn't realize there were cars coming up on my left in that shoulder buffer area. And if I didn't see it at the last minute, I could have gotten into a crash myself. So that's the issue with the cars illegally using that buffer shoulder neck down area. And as I pointed out, the painted lanes at the intersection of First Avenue don't really mesh with the parking regulations. And that's why I think the best solution to this would be a permanent no standing regulation on that south side of East 62nd Street. It would really do a lot to eliminate a lot of the conflicts, improve the safety. And while I understand that people are very sensitive about removing parking, this is really rarely used for parking. Essentially Sundays and from midnight to 7 a.m. on other 7 a.m. on other days where it's not particularly conducive to people who are trying to park on a regular basis there just because of the hours. So I think in the name of safety, this is a perfect example of where we should be making this adjustment. It will improve congestion, improve air quality with reduced congestion, and improve safety. And that's why I want to bring it out there. And I know there are others who had brought that up in public, from the public in past months. I don't know if they have the same opinion in terms of the remedy, but I know that this is something that has been brought up before. So that's my overview of what this is about, and I'm happy to talk further about it.
Hey, thank you, Craig. Let's see. We've got a couple of people in the public who want to be heard, and then we have some board members. Dylan Yen. first.
I believe Dylan has actually been the one who spoke about this
Yeah.
this street before.
Yes. Thank you, Craig, for actually bringing this up. After many, many months of just kind of complaining about it on this forum and allowing me to complain about it on this forum, something's being done about it. The one thing is that when you get off, I can concur that even especially at late nights, the minute the clock strikes midnight, I have waited on that bridge at 2 o'clock in the morning at Ravenswood, and the traffic is backed up all the way to Ravenswood at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's that's about how far it gets all the way to the Queen's side. One of the things is I want to speak about, and by the way, I'm in complete support of your proposed solution, but what's frustrating is that this didn't really have to happen. DOT could have just put a Jersey barrier like they do on Northern Boulevard and a lot of high traffic bike lanes, and been able to keep all 3 lanes. We saw, I think, in your lovely photograph that there is space for all 3 lanes there, especially without that striped buffer. Is that correct, Craig?
To be the case beforehand.
Yeah. So it was a bike lane in all 3 lanes, and my thing is, what's frustrating is like they just didn't put a Jersey barrier just to protect the bike lane the same way and maintain all 3 lanes. Instead, we have striped paint, which frankly doesn't stop drivers from driving over it, as you saw. And then we also have the issue of now we have to remove parking from one side of a street to remedy an issue that the DOT caused by putting a striped buffer, a painted buffer, an 8-foot painted buffer at a high traffic area, and also convincing basically putting in drivers in a spot where they have to make a deliberate illegal straight on to go straight to the FDR drive, because technically that leftmost lane now is a left turn only lane. So in effect, if I want to go straight on 62nd Street, I'm not legally allowed to do that on Sundays. So I am in support of the fact that we need to get this remedied. I don't necessarily support the fact that we have to remove parking to do it, but if that's the way we have to solve it, and without a protected Jersey barrier, that's the way we have to solve this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have Leah L. from the public.
Hi, thanks. I'm totally in support of your proposal, Craig. Though I also agree with what Dylan has said about the Jersey barrier. I drive this way about once a week during rush hour, during the weekdays. And your solution really isn't going to solve the problem that also exists other than Sunday, because cars routinely drive down the bike lane and cars routinely stop in the no standing lane with their blinkers on while they're making deliveries or whatever have you. And the traffic does back up all the way to Queens. But I think the problem is at least as much the lack of enforcement along that block. I'll tell a story of what happened to me last year. My car died on the ramp over 61st Street at rush hour. It was the alternator. And no sooner had I gotten out of the car to put an orange triangle on my roof when the traffic agents had walked a block up the ramp to tell me I could not park there. And when I explained that the battery was dead, they immediately called on their radio and got someone who came up in less than 5 minutes with a charging gizmo. And we got the car running so that I could get it to First Avenue before it died again. But the point is, if they can walk one block up the ramp to tell me I can't park on the ramp, then they can also walk 1 block to the side on 62nd Street and stop people from parking in the no standing lane and ticket people who are going down the bike lane. And then the traffic wouldn't back up all the way to Queens. But I totally agree with your remedy. That's part of the problem.
All right, thank you, Leah. Sorry you had to go through that. That sounds like a traumatic experience.
It was special.
All right, thank you. All right, so seeing no other hands from the public, let's go to board members. Let's start with Paul Crickler.
Thank you, Craig. I
Yeah.
fully support your proposal. What this amazing video you showed screams to me is how crazy dangerous this is. I know if I was driving and I took a right there, I would end up in that same place in the stripe part or the bike lane. It's phenomenally dangerous. I think we as a board should be asking the DOT to put Jersey barriers down there and to change whatever paint they need to paint on the ground there so cars know they can't go where they're not supposed to go. I can't blame anyone for getting at the wrong place down. It's phenomenally dangerous. So we should go beyond what you're saying. If that means a motion from somebody, I don't know, but we should be asking the DOT to fix this with a very simple solution. Plop them down. They've got them. Doesn't involve any, digging up of concrete. Thank you.
All right, I guess next is Michelle.
Yeah, excellent presentation, Craig. Really very good. With all these films and everything, what it showed me is that this was a very inappropriate block for a bike lane. It added insult to injury, what was already a problematic situation on that block. So, it just shows you, I mean, an effort to put bike lanes in no matter the consequence. That's what I took away from here. Also, let me ask you a question because it wasn't clear to me. I think if it was not the first slide, it was one of the first slides that you showed parking. Was that, but not on the Sunday? Was that a line of cars illegally parked on the south side of the street? That was my understanding.
You mean in
One of the very first slides?
this photo?
Wouldn't hear, but it's too hard to do.
Yeah, I can't say definitively what the situation is with those cars on the
All right.
curbside
Well,
those days.
I got the impression, I thought you
Okay.
said, or got the impression, maybe I'm wrong, we can clarify it if I was. But if they were illegally parked, they will continue to illegally park, whether it says no standing anytime or no standing at a certain, hours that are excluded, so that problem will remain no matter what sign you put up. But what would solve the problem is either putting a different barrier up I forget his name. Dylan, I'm sorry. That would allow you to maintain the 3 lanes if the parking lane were free or to eliminate the bike lane. To me, otherwise, this is no real fix, but very well thought out, and I appreciate all the trouble and the exhibits.
Bill
Thank you,
Angelos
Michelle.
next. Bill? Go ahead, Bill.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Greg. That was a very well done presentation. You articulated very well the issue there. I live in the neighborhood, and I agree with Michelle. It's inappropriate to have a bike lane there. But I'd like to add another request along with the no standing is that on the pedestrian crosswalk on the north side, when traffic cars are turning left, that also causes congestion backed up. So I would suggest that to eliminate the pedestrian crosswalk, defer pedestrian to the south side to cross over 2nd Avenue. So that will keep the flow of traffic moving and to further reduce the congestion.
I think they did that before. Remember, we had a presentation, DOT came back and just changed it recently because they thought they could do it. We'll see how that works. But for years, it was, I guess, Bill, it wasn't right where you're saying, but it was at 61st Street or something like that,
Right.
Craig?
63rd, I believe.
Or 63rd, where
yes.
they for years, they had, for 20 some years, they had it blocked off where you couldn't cross just because of what you're saying.
Okay.
So I think
And
that makes some sense too.
Yeah. And I think what Bill was also saying was that at the exit at 62nd Street, there's I'm just going to share my screen one more time. Give me 1 second, because I think this is part of the issue as well. Uh, Here we go. So this is a street view here. That's from 2021. I just want to try to get to 2025 to see if we could see what it looks like today. And part of the issue is that you could see here, there's the barrier in front of the Karen Horney Clinic. And it's not clear, I guess there's technically not supposed to be any crossing here, but it looks like, at least from what I saw, that you may still see the outline of a pedestrian crosswalk over here. So you saw in my example, and we know this from other situations as well, people tend to ignore the barriers and will cross wherever it is that they could cross. But that's, I think, something else that is contributing to the situation over here.
Sebastian, I believe, is next. Sebastian?
Yes.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Craig. I'd like to propose a resolution and briefly speak to it if seconded. Resolution to adopt or to recommend the DOT adopt the proposed change to the parking regulations that Craig has presented, and to install jersey barriers or other similar elements to protect the bike lane. That is the proposal.
Okay, is there a second to that? Paul is seconding, I see. Okay. Further discussion at all?
I won't belabor the point. Craig's already given a great presentation here. It seems that we have this space that is not working too well. And I think the main piece with bringing those jersey barriers in would be, of course, protect the bike lane, but also to prevent that situation that Craig mentioned of vehicles illegally using that space as a cut around and creating the situation Craig mentioned where he was almost sideswiped from the left as he was trying to turn. So I hope that we can at least get some improvements to this intersection and streetway.
Okay, last comment, Michelle.
Have we verified, and DOT is here, Raphael, have we verified that removing that protected area and putting the other barriers in, have we verified that in fact we get a third lane of traffic? Is that actually the case? Does Raphael have an answer for that?
I don't know. Does he know?
Yes, I do. I just trying to get the microphone on. Good evening, everybody. I'm not familiar with this problem of this location. So I understand that this has been brought up to DOT's attention in the past. So I'm unable to opine on a particular way, but I'm not
Well,
I'm not
if
sure.
you're not sure, can I propose, I mean, it's too late to say I spoke, so I can't say motion to table. But if we don't have that information, I don't think we should have a resolution tonight. I think we should put that off until we get that answer.
Greg, this has been brought up to DOT's attention in the past. Is that correct? Did I misunderstood that?
But not this specific issue.
I don't know that this is brought up in a formal manner. I know that this is spoken about at our meeting, and I'm not sure, Raphael, if this is before your time as liaison.
Well, look,
in which Dylan brought up, but I think either way, the question of how many lanes can fit is not really relevant to this discussion. The no standing um, on the south side effectively is still what's causing a lot of the issues that are worse on Sunday. The lanes are painted incorrectly. The turn lanes are identified in a way that they don't fit on Sundays. So even with the Jersey barrier, it doesn't necessarily change the situation that much in terms of fixing the overall situation.
But if I could just respond and say that it does change it in that in the middle of in other words, parking there in the middle of the night or on Sundays, it's 7 a.m. to midnight except Sunday, no standing any time won't solve that problem either, because people breach that.
Not
And
always. I don't agree.
if you don't increase the amount of room on the street itself, I don't see that you're trading parking for the bike lane. It seems to me we need more information to vote on this.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree. I don't think we need more information. I think you're looking at a different perspective of this as it relates to parking. But I think the no standing um, request still is where we are right now.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote. I think unless people want to speak, I think we're ready to vote. I see Paul was going to say that, but all those in favor of the resolution as presented by Sebastian, you don't have to do anything. Those who are against it, raise your hands if you want to vote no or abstentions.
And let me once again just read the roll. It's myself, Chuck, Bill, John, Lori, Paul, Michelle, Sebastian, TJ.
Okay. All right. Michelle?
Abstain.
Okay. Anything else? I think that looks like that's it. One abstention and the rest in favor.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. The next item is something we had a lot of complaints about, and it's an ongoing thing here, and it's discussion regarding helicopter noise and calls to ban non-essential helicopter flights. And that's been an issue that's come up a lot. And we used to have a heliport at 61st Street, which was closed, much to everyone's pleasure. And we have a little park there that we've been working on as a board for quite a while. And but we've had a lot of things coming into the office about helicopter noise, which is a problem, as we all know, and the question of non-essential helicopter flights. I think it's a tricky thing, and there's a lot of it going on. But I know this is something we thought ought to go on the agenda here to see what. And I don't know if there's anyone from the public that would like to comment on this particular issue. And or Craig, if you have anything further you want to say about it here.
No, I don't have anything myself. I thought I'm not sure. I guess we don't have anyone representing the Earth.
They were invited and they said they were going to attend, but we did not receive response after our email this morning. So I did not receive response from them in regards to if they were attending or not. They said originally they were, and they were confirming to signing up, and they have not, I've seen sign up or in the meeting right now.
Okay, well, let's see what we don't have anybody here, but if we could still have a short discussion of it. And
yeah, I was going to say we could have a short discussion, or otherwise happy to postpone this until they show up, unless someone is very anxious to speak about it tonight.
Well, Andrew Fine has his hand up. He's usually anxious to speak. So, and let's unmute Andrew. Go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, Chuck. Thank you. And apologies, I missed most of this meeting because I was on a NYC EBSA Zoom simultaneously, which is very confusing in case anybody tried to do two Zooms at once. And I'm sure whatever Dillian Yen said on the last topic, I probably approve of. In terms of helicopter traffic, there's absolutely no reason that if you're in Central Park with 10,000 or 20,000 people, that everybody should be subjected to the noise of like 4 or 5 high income tourists floating above. I mean, this is ludicrous. And I would just say anything that we can do to limit tourist helicopters over New York City, let them go to 30 Rock or the Empire State Building. We don't need the noise. We have enough already. And pretty simple statement.
Thank you, Andrew. I see Emily Jordan has her hand up, so can we recognize Emily?
So I was just gonna quickly note that I live in the area. Obviously, I haven't noticed a problem with helicopter noise, in particular. I'm actually wondering how they can determine, to the extent that the issue would be tourist helicopters versus news helicopters versus police helicopters for protests, like I would just like a better sense of like what the helicopter traffic situation even is, because I'm not aware of it.
Well, it's all of the above. They have tourist helicopters that, that go off on a regular basis. And obviously there are police helicopters that do stuff. And then there's some news helicopters. So, I mean, everybody knows who the helicopters are and when they go. And it is some, and then there's some people who go to the airport by helicopter.
But I think in terms of like how much of a problem unnecessary helicopters are, I think you'd really have to have that information, because you would assume, again, news copters are necessary, police copters are probably necessary. Maybe there's medical flights, like I don't know.
Those are a small amount, Emily. The most of it is consistent tourist helicopters, and we've had a lot of complaints about them. Depends where you live, obviously, and but Paul, you want to say something on this?
Thank you. In the spirits of the holiday season, I want to say I completely agree with everything Andrew Fine just said about helicopters.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we see if we can get somebody? Michelle wanted to say something. I'm sorry, I didn't. Heaven forbid.
Yes, my hand had been up. I agree with Emily. I don't know how far they go. I imagine if a tourist helicopter is over Manhattan, that they go pretty much the whole length of Manhattan. There are many neighborhoods that they want to see. They don't only hover around the Empire State Building. I personally have not had a problem with it, and I would be very reluctant to tamper with the schedule, but I don't think we know enough about it. And I mean, we don't have stats. We don't know how many of this and how many of that and which one we're going to decide, which ones to curtail. I don't think so. So I don't know where the complaints are coming from. Do you have a street? Do you know what streets, where the complaints coming from? And I'm not sure what's the remedy. I mean, what are you going to ban exactly? Chuck, do you know which you say you're getting many, many complaints. Where do the people live that are?
Well, I don't know all the addresses, but why don't we put this off and we'll see if we can get. I'm sure we can get all that information and
Okay.
about how many there are and what they are and the hours, etc. And we'll see if we can get somebody to come to our meeting to talk about it.
Okay. I also have a comment that at our full board meeting, can I ask Craig to make the presentation? Maybe not the whole one because we don't have the time, but at least the video. Because I'm not sure that with just a verbal description that the full board will really grasp what we have seen. So can you arrange to do that? I mean, the video is only
I have to see about the
seconds.
technology about doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to talk to Valerie. I know she has.
Yeah. Well, please do. Well, it's screen sharing, right? So, all right. Yes, that's my request. If you would do that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Andrew, did you want to say something else on this?
No, just, well, sort of. The crux of this problem is if you've ever been to Governor's Island and you think you're gonna have like a nice like leisurely day, it's like Vietnam out there. If you're on 34th Street, if you're on the west side and you're trying to enjoy the Hudson River Park, it's a constant flight path. If you're in Central Park, you have these helicopters flying overhead all the time. And you just have to realize that the number of people that are benefiting from these tourist flights is so minimal compared to the tens of thousands of people on the ground that are having their peace disturbed. That's just all I'm saying. The ratio is ridiculous. And I think that people that are in Hudson River Park or Central Park or on Governor's Island should have some peaceful respite and not have to deal with constant helicopter noise. And if you're asking who should be banned, just the random helicopter flights, the tourist flights that are just there circling for no reason. That is what I would say.
Okay.
So thank you for
All right.
listening.
Sure. I think that's enough on this topic. Michelle, we're not gonna pursue it. We're gonna have somebody come back to be continued. Okay. Updates from Department of Transportation. Raphael, do you have anything you want to give us in the way of updates?
Thank you, Chuck. No, I don't have anything new to share with you. Just to let you know that the 63rd Street and 2nd Avenue project has been going on and hopefully will be done very soon. But as far as any other work that we're doing in the district, I have nothing new to share with you.
Okay. Do we have any issues that we want to discuss with Raphael? I know there's a few people here. Andrew, fine. Go ahead.
Thanks again, Chuck. I'm wondering if Raphael has any statistics available post the 15-mile-an-hour green wave on 3rd Avenue, which to all of us that have sensory ability, 3rd Avenue's turned into an absolute disaster. The pace of everything, aside from bicycles, has dropped drastically. I'm just wondering if they've done any statistical analysis on bus speeds, car speeds, because it seems like every block is like a stop sign now. And the traffic is backed up dramatically, and the speed has dropped by probably 50%. I'm just wondering if the DOT has any statistics on this.
I'm so sorry, but I do not have anything news to add to this conversation that was going on a few months ago. So I don't remember exactly what the final comment was from DOT. So I'm unable to answer that question.
We're going to get a report.
Wondering.
I think we were going to get a report back from the DOT.
Correct. That's what I think.
And to see what, a lot of these issues that you're talking about, Andrew, to see what's been the case, traffic, bus speeds, etc.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a report. I'm also wondering why the DOT is prioritizing the 2% of people that travel by bicycle so that they cannot miss a light. But everybody else, including bus riders, taxi riders, the Access-a-Ride, and regular vehicles, are inconvenienced just for this 2%, which now have their own private travel lane.
I'll just remind everyone that we had the Deputy Borough Commissioner Jennifer Santa Ines here in June, shortly after the changes were made. And at the time, she said that data collection was ongoing and the New York City DOT bike unit was evaluating speeds along the corridor since the changes went into effect.
Don't worry, we know.
So And at that point, based on the early data, there didn't seem to be much of a loss in terms of drivers losing time. But obviously that was very early on. And I think, Raphael, we are probably getting closer to the point, whether it's a year out or even sooner, that we should have DOT provide us with a full
And it's 6
presentation.
months now, so they must have data.
I
And
will
I'd be
look in-
very curious about the bus speeds.
I will look into it and I will update you accordingly. Let me
Thank
see
you.
what I can find out.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Dylan sees, Dylan Yen, or sorry. Dylan, I'm thinking of relief pitchers now. Yeah, sorry, Dylan.
So I want to push back on Raphael's assertion that nobody knows about that bridge issue. I've personally brought this up on this meeting. I think some of you guys know, probably 3 or 4 times. Other members of the public have done it. There have been Post articles written about it. There have been Upper East Side articles written about it. The soon-to-be Speaker Menon wrote the DOT demanding answers of why that hasn't been looked at, I think 6 months ago. So I want to push back on that the DOT doesn't know about it, because
No, I did not say that DOT didn't know about it. As a matter of fact, you are correct. Yes, the Councilmember Mannings brought that up a few months ago. And what I said was that I'm not sure what has been the final comment from DOT or the final solution. So I said that I will find out and then I will update you accordingly. But I never said that I did not agree or didn't know. The issue has been discussed very, very carefully, and I'm not sure what it has been done according to what I heard, because I'm unable to opine about it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Raphael. Just the way I thought you said you didn't know. That's no worries.
Mhm.
The second thing is adding on to the question of the 15 mile an hour limit that has been imposed on 3rd Avenue, which basically, I live on 3rd Avenue and 69th Street. It's become tailback, bumper to bumper, even not during rush hour. So I agree with Andrew's assessment. As some of us may have seen, the 3rd Avenue, like complete street south of 59th Street, has been completed. I read online that a DOT rep confirmed to Transportation Alternatives that the 15 mile an hour greenway for e-bikes is going to apply to all of 3rd Avenue. Is this true? Is this something you can confirm or deny, or is this something maybe you can come back to us with?
I will go back to you because
Thanks,
I have no knowledge of that. So
Yeah.
sorry.
If I could just add, I am often on 3rd Avenues, heading uptown in the morning, and have noticed that I believe 3rd Avenue, at least through 125th Street, is also at that same 15 mile per hour effective speed.
Thanks,
All
Craig.
right. We have some others
And
here.
Dylan's being modest. I believe that the articles he's referring to, he was actually featured in.
Thanks, Craig.
I'm not aware of that article, so I will look into it and be better educated so I can answer your questions.
Okay, all right. So we have some board members here. Michelle?
Thank you, Chuck. I would like to ask Raphael if he could, to have the DOT go to 62nd Street between the bridge exit and First, and look at it themselves and to consider removing that bike lane, because there's a lot of complaints about it. Everybody's trying to solve the problem, appreciate that. But it's my contention that it was the wrong street for a bike lane. And the fact that the DOT has not looked at that after all these complaints is probably not good. So the DOT should physically go down and observe what Craig has observed. And maybe if they want to see his presentation or his film or whatever, maybe he'd be willing to share. But I would like that as a specific request, that the DOT go and look at 62nd Street and the feasibility of a bike lane on that street. Would you do that?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was planning on reaching out to Craig to have that in an email so I can create an arcade.
Great.
So
That's great.
that will be done.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll just add for context that back when DOT made the presentations regarding the bike lane and regarding the broader bike network in the lower 60s and how it connects to the Queensboro Bridge, especially in the wake of the project to separate the pedestrian walkway on the outer roadway from the bike lane that was a combined bike ped lane on the north side, that they, I thought, included in that discussion explanation as to why 62nd Street was the least worst option, if you will. That there really, in the lower 60s, there was really no ideal place, if you will, for the bike lane, but for the connectivity, that was seen to be the option that made the most sense.
Well, safety may have to be a priority over connectivity, and let the DOT go back and take a look at it again. I think that would be wise.
I think that
Thank you, Michelle.
Craig's presentation will contribute to DOT revisiting that location again.
Great. Thank you.
Oopsie. Thank you.
However, you may be riding a bike before they change that bike lane, Michelle. Okay, DJ Falkson, yes.
Hi, sorry we're sort of having to go out of order with topics.
It's okay.
But on the 3rd Avenue Greenway, there is data on bus speeds that is public to all. If I'm allowed to just kind of share really quick, because I was kind of curious. The MTA has this metrics site where you can look at bus speeds as well as a lot of other metrics. And I think we've seen these kind of presented from time to time, but I was kind of curious myself as people were talking. So this is, I believe, the routes that are on 3rd, the 101, 102, 103. Somebody can correct me if that's wrong.
That is correct. And technically the M98 as well.
I can add, I don't think anything will change. I'm showing from November 24 to October 25th, which is the latest data we have. I don't see much of a trend in bus speeds here, at least. Like maybe vehicle traffic is different, but I would think it's pretty correlated. So I just encourage people to use the data that we have at hand and to try and be data driven. I know on any given day you can go out to 3rd and it can look like it's backed up. On any given day, you can go out and it's flowing smoothly, and you can't extrapolate from anecdotes too much. My experience on 3rd has been it's moving just as fast as before. I haven't really seen much of a disruption from the green wave myself. Thank you.
All right, thank you, DJ. And that I second your promotion of the MTA's data dashboard. It is a phenomenal improvement compared to where they were a number of years ago, where that type of transparency was not available. It's something we talked a lot about in relation to congestion pricing. So there is a lot of great data on there, and thank you for bringing that up.
TJ, it's TJ sign.
Yeah, I'm just jumping in on a couple of things. East 62nd Street, and Craig, you just saying that it's kind of the best of the worst. That just kind of sucks. But I think Michelle saying that safety is a priority should also be said for that. I know it's going to be a tough one because it sounds like it already. 3rd Avenue, I'm on 68th. And 3rd from, 58th through 78th, it does seem like it's slowed down. I don't know exact numbers, but it also feels it's not safe. I mean, I saw right on my corner an accident the other day. I just think that the truck stopping in the bus lane, the bike lane out, it's just become, it has not seemed to help. It seems more dangerous. That's all I have to say for tonight.
Thanks, TJ. Evelyn David, I see, has her hand up. Evelyn?
Evelyn?
Go ahead, Evelyn. Well, now you muted yourself, Evelyn. There you go.
Okay, there you go. Sorry. Yeah, hi. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's okay. Fine. You all sound well. Traffic on 3rd Avenue is a mess. There is no question about. I mean, I first time I was on it when they changed the speed limit, I thought, no, I must be, there must be construction up ahead. Massive construction. No, wrong. They changed the speed limit. It is inconceivable. I mean, you can look at as much data as you want. It is completely slowed down. It used to be running really smoothly. If you went 25 miles an hour, you made it through all the lights. There was no problem, except when we hit the construction corners. Okay, so I don't know. It's seeming to me that you're not really driving on it. Anybody that thinks it isn't that slow, or anybody that's got to look at data to figure out that it's, you know, a traffic jam. Anyway, that's what I want to say. I'm sticking up for change it back. I mean, at least 20 miles an hour. My goodness, and time it to the lights. Okay. Thank you very much.
Right.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm unable to.
Go ahead.
I'm unable to understand the conversation clearly because I just heard DJ speaking about that there is no disruption. Is that what you said, DJ, on Third Avenue?
We were
You
referring
were
to
saying
the bus speeds.
The bus speeds haven't changed, basically.
the bus speed.
Right. The effective bus speeds haven't changed, but Evelyn and others have referred to the speeds of general vehicular traffic.
Vehicular drive. Okay.
Driving. If you are driving on it, Raphael, then it's totally different story. An avenue that used to flow beautifully was the go-to avenue always, and at 25, not a billion miles an hour, just 25, everything was fine. It is no longer fine. It is no longer fine. All of a sudden overnight. And why they did that, and I know why, because of the 10 bicycles, but you know, and the bicycles go through the red lights. So
I understand now.
Yes, you understand. It's not working. Anyway, we're hoping that you will all take a fast look at that and at least increase the speed a little bit. Okay, that would be incredibly helpful. Thank you very much. Thanks for all your help.
I'll bring it up.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Now, is there any old business or new business here? I see some further hands raised on stuff, but let's call on Jenny Whitney, who hasn't spoken before. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks. I live over on 72nd and 2nd, or sorry, 73rd and 2nd, and just wanted to voice my support for the 3rd Avenue retime. I don't drive. I know a lot of people around here don't drive, and I appreciate the added safety of, you know, the reduced speed limit as a pedestrian. And I also want to note, I think there was a presentation back in July that the DOT gave at this community board, at this committee. And they noted that the average speed for cars along 3rd Avenue was actually around like 10 miles an hour, and that it hadn't changed much since the retiming, because 15 miles an hour is more than 10. So I just would, you know, if anyone's interested in that, that was back at the meeting in July. So, all right, thanks.
We're going to get a report back from DOT, I think.
Yeah, it was actually in June, and if you go to our Transportation Committee website or the CB8 Manhattan YouTube channel, you could find video of that, and I encourage everyone to do it. And just as an aside, I will say that as someone who crosses over 3rd Avenue at 86th Street every day, I do find it as a pedestrian to be incredibly less anxiety-inducing to cross right now with the lower speeds, and at 86th Street, congestion is not particularly horrible. And I think it's actually better than it was, but there may be other factors there.
And remember one thing, I think what Greg was saying about pedestrian safety, that's the reason why the de Blasio administration started it, basically, and they went to the state legislature to get approval to go to 15 miles an hour in certain, you know, in streets and things, and because you have to get approved from the state legislature. And I think if you remember the Vision Zero stuff that de Blasio had, and they were focused mostly on pedestrian safety, frankly. Okay, let me see. Emily Jordan. has her hand up. Emily?
Yeah, sorry, this is just a quick question if I'm not following. So has this, because I know we had a debate, there was a debate back over the summer about whether the speed limit on Third Avenue had actually changed or if it was just the street light timing. So from what you're saying, the speed limit has actually changed on Third Avenue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't
Thank you.
believe
Does
that's the case. I thought technically there are no signs saying 15 and it says it says lights timed for 15 miles per hour. It doesn't say speed limit 15 miles an hour.
the
So I
legal
believe
limit is still 25, but the lights are timed at 15?
Yeah, maybe that's right, Craig. You might, yeah. I think there are some streets that they've made it 15 miles an hour. It's usually by schools and stuff. You're right. I think now I think about it.
I think it's a little concerning that we as a committee still doesn't actually, like, we don't know what the speed limit is. We're just still sort of guessing what it might be.
I'm pretty certain about that. I was just noticing that sign while walking down Third Avenue just this past weekend.
Okay, that was my comment.
Thanks, Emily. Okay, Andrew Fine. Do you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah. Don't you wish? Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, no, it's 25, but the lights are timed for 15. So essentially what happens is that all the traffic gets backed up because every light ends up sort of being the equivalent to a stop sign. I would argue that 6.2 miles an hour for a bus is not impressive at all, especially considering the MTA has a habit. This is amazing to me, by the way. I know this is more of an MTA issue, but you can literally sit with four bus lines, the 98, the 101, 102, 103. You can sit on Third Avenue for like 15 minutes and wait for a bus, and then six come. And so if they're averaging 6.2 miles an hour, that's probably because five of them are in the pack that are like passing the others. So I'm not really impressed by 6.2 miles an hour. It should be a heck of a lot faster. And I can't be gaslit here. I know that by cutting the speed limit by 40%, that would mean that you would go 40% slower as a top speed. And so please don't gaslight me. We know what's going on. I don't know where our board chair is tonight, but I'm sure Valerie, who is a big cab taker, can tell you that it's a nightmare. And great for all those bike riders. They're bragging now. I can go 60 blocks without stopping. Well, that's great. Another loss for the MTA. But thank you so much for listening, and I really hope that maybe sometime in the future, our representative from the DOT actually has answers rather than just getting back to us. And I'll say it one more time: Lexington Avenue. Enough said. Thank you. You know what I'm talking about.
How could we forget? Okay, Dylan Kennedy, who hadn't spoken here.
Yep, I just wanted to speak very quickly on the signal timing here. I know it is helpful to continuously frame this as something that is only good for cyclists, but I think that is missing part of it. I used to live between Second and Third, and I think another commenter said, this was the place to go for cars. Like you could always move quickly down here. And in many ways, it was kind of treated like a highway. And to be honest, the signal timing doesn't really affect it most of the time. It really only affects it at nights when it's clear. But when I was walking back from there, it was actually not great having what was effectively a highway where cars could either go quickly at night or where everyone would flock to during the day. So I think broadly the changes have made that section much more livable and pleasant. And pretty much when I was walking anywhere, I'd walk out of my apartment and go to Second just to walk up or down anywhere, because walking along Third was such a brutally unpleasant experience that's been made a lot better. So I think that this is a great policy from the perspective of pedestrians. I don't really think, and it also is great for limiting speeding bicyclists, because any bicyclist who's going 20 miles per hour doesn't benefit from this at all. So this is a good way of rewarding people who are moving at 15 miles per hour, which is a very reasonable pace. And it then in turn delivers benefits for those of us moving at a much slower speed because we're walking. And so just from my experience growing up, or not growing up, my experience living right around there for a few years makes me really think that the changes have made a huge improvement. Thank you.
Okay, Paul Crickler's had his hand up for a while. Paul?
Thank you, Chuck. I think we're forgetting one important data point here. Since that bike lane was put in and since the traffic was calmed down, I think there've been something like 30 or 40% reduction in people being killed and people having serious injuries. I may have the numbers a bit wrong by a few points, but it's something dramatically big. Every time these things happen, less people are killed, less people are maimed. That's the primary driver we should be thinking about here. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, thank you. At last, Dylan Yin. Go ahead, Dylan.
So as the person who first brought this, I think, to our first transportation committee meeting in like February, the DOT told us that the 15-mile-an-hour light timing was to encourage cyclists to respect red lights. The amount of C summons that is written on 3rd Avenue would tell you otherwise. So my feedback is just, if we are adjusting light timings to 15 miles an hour to basically prevent or slow down drivers so much that it becomes like a traffic backup for some of us who live in the low 60s and the 70s. I would just encourage everybody to kind of look and see, stand on 3rd Avenue and count the amount of cyclists who respect those red lights because we've retimed them deliberately for cyclists, and then stand on 3rd Avenue, or maybe even look at INRIX data that's not Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at peak times, to actually have a full picture of that vehicle traffic data. I think we represented INRIX data in that July meeting, but it was limited to peak times on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. But I will leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Before we go, and assuming no one else has anything, I did have one more thing for Raphael to bring up. Raphael, I had emailed you a couple of weeks back, passing along a message from one of our members who was asking about a city bike station on 84th Street between Lexington and Park Avenues that was expanded after the street was repaved. I'm wondering if you have any information that you've been able to come up with that or any explanation.
Yes, I brought that up and I have not yet received any response, so I will do that tomorrow and find out exactly what the bike unit has joined in that regard.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, I think that concludes our business. We appreciate everybody and your thoughts, and we are adjourned, and we'll be convening next month in the new year, and hope to see some of you at our meetings later this month. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.